It may be available mid-December. Mara, thank you. The FDA issuing an emergency use authorization for a new COVID-19 antibody test that can tell how well a person is protected against the virus and perhaps for how long. Liza Lucas joining us now. And Liza, how is this test different from others we've talked about here?
Well, Shiva, people are calling this a new generation of tests. The test not only measuring whether you may have protection from the virus, but by how much. Now, think back to the other antibody tests that we've been talking about. They detect if you've had the virus or not, normally with a positive and negative sign. But the test from Cantaro Biosciences, it goes one step further, measuring specific levels of COVID neutralizing antibodies produced by the immune system after exposure. So it's really those levels that makes this test unique. Now, however, the FDA warns that there is still a lot we don't know about the nature of neutralizing antibodies, and a high level does not guarantee immunity against the virus. But experts say this new test is still important because it can be used as researchers further evaluate the relationship between the antibodies and protection against the virus. So a lot of questions still coming out about cost and availability, and we will be monitoring that and keep you posted with the very latest. But the company says it plans to manufacture around 10 million of these tests by month. So a lot of excitement when it comes to this new development.